Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Welcome to REL 1 and 2A Div Review Week 12. I wanted to see how long it would take before you said something. Because I always introduce it, and I wanted to see if you just sit there and do nothing for a bit, and you did.
Did we just not hype though?
We did hype.
Oh, my stream just never loaded. It never updated that you were live.
Nope.
So it was just like coming soon, and you were like hello, and I was like, hi.
No, we've been live for 6 minutes. Hello. Welcome to the REL 1 and 2A Div Review Week 12, and we have Shadorra back. He didn't forget what day it was this time.
Nope.
But we're going to be looking at teams this week because we did some match review last week. So next week will be the final match reviews, presumably ones that are relevant for playoffs, which very well may actually happen considering we are on week 12 and there are no confirmed playoff spots yet. There's people who are basically guaranteed or guaranteed postseason, but there's nobody who's like 100% locked for playoffs. There are people who are like, they'll either be playoffs or Challengers Cup, but there's nobody who's 100% locked yet, I don't think.
Yeah, the Challengers Cup is definitely like throwing a bit of complication into that.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why it's as late as it is, because it very well could be the
what did we say for our prediction? Like 1 point for position, 1 point for...
I don't remember. I think that's what it was.
1 point for if they get it at all, 1 point for the position.
Yeah, and it was just like straight up bonus. There's no wrong points, loss, or anything. Let's get into things, shall we? Boop. These are the results for week 1. And Shadorra gets to, or week 1 for Div 1. Shadorra gets to learn what was predicted for him. Although it doesn't matter at this point, really, because you beat me so badly last week that you are now a total of 10 points ahead of me.
No, that's a lot.
You were like 3 points ahead of me, I think, before last week, and then last week happened. No, you were 4 points ahead of me.
I have to be an even number of points.
It was either 2 or 4, so I kind of averaged it mentally with 3 because I couldn't remember which one it was.
Something that's possible.
The point was, we were very relatively close, and then suddenly we are not close anymore. Really? First match, the Fear and Bloating versus the High Fivers.
Let me see how I would have called it. I probably would have called this for Fear and Bloating.
We both predicted Fear and Bloating, both me and you, and it was a tie.
Nurgle inflicted 7 casualties, tied. Just Nurgle things.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if those casualties came in the second half, like after the High Fivers have scored, then yeah, sure, the Nurgle are going to score there, but that still makes it 1-1, and it turns out it's hard to like 2-turn as Nurgle.
Yeah, and the High Fivers are 4 out of 7 times. So.
Yeah, it's
the High Fivers made 7 foul appearance rolls that game. That's it, 7.
Well,
and they made 100% of them, so it didn't exist as a skill.
A lot of the times it doesn't.
Fear and Bloating made 100% of their regen rolls, so none of the removals stuck.
Well, I wish I could have those. My last game, I had 0% regen, and I had 20% KO recovery. So that was fun. And we had Ars Gotia and Pantheon Passers, and of course, since I had Tself on, he predicted himself, and I had to predict against him because that's the only way it's fun.
I saw some memes about this because apparently Tself just like clicked Elf clipped the ball a couple of times and like was running through like tentacles and diving tackle. Just like didn't give a fuck.
I mean, I predicted against Tself. Like
he hit an Elf team 58 times,
and it didn't break.
It didn't break.
I mean, it took 3 casualties and 9 KOs, but it still won 4-2.
Yeah.
I mean, I predicted against Tself like almost entirely because I wanted to predict against the person I was talking with. But yeah, that's a point for you and a negative point for me, only increasing the differential there because you were right about Tself beating ZZeta. I mean, ZZeta had the ball most of the time. He made 58 blocks. He inflicted 3 casualties, 9 KOs, and only sustained 1 KO, and then lost 4-2 anyway. Elves are stupid. Ban elves. All of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Elves are really dumb. That's a lot of tentacle rolls. Like a lot of them.
That's 30 tentacle rolls.
That is 56 dodge rolls? That's more than the blocks?
I mean, a bunch of those are going to be the rerolls from the dodge skill, but yeah.
That's still 20 something, even if you assume all of them are rerolls, and that's assuming that all of them failed and then rerolled. It's still a lot.
Yeah, that's a fucking lot.
Just assume like they're elves, so they're mostly 2+. Like,
so I predicted a win for Tself.
You did,
which
yes.
Sounds very out of character, and you predicted Zeta, so I got a point. You lose.
Yep. This is just elves throwing dice at things and then the dice not failing them, and that feels so that feels super fun, I guess, as the elf player, just being like, haha, look, I can do whatever I want. That's the most frustrating thing in the world to play against, is when the elves just throw a billion dice and don't fail stuff and beat you because you can't stop them from doing things. Is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Nurgle's
Nurgle
FTDs and the Grody Greens.
Yeah, versus the Grody Greens. If I could have called a match of a tie, I would have called this one a tie.
Yep. Well, we did talk about that, and we went back and forth a bunch, and because of which I predicted that Salt would take it, and you predicted that Lazarus would take it, and then they tied. So
Lazarus doing way more blocking, but not seeing more removals for it, and not even seeing more breaks for it. Maybe not getting the Claw Mighty Blow hits, maybe not getting the Claw Mighty Blow rolls.
Yeah, that's way more blocks. Well, I think when we were talking about this one, it came down to being like, well, I think that, Nurgle's FTDs has more damage potential. Though we certainly see that.
Yeah.
They have more like Claw Mighty Blow, so that kind of evens out the lower number of blocks, but similar number of removals.
Nurgle FTDs made one total really stupid roll, so I'm willing to bet that the Beast of Nurgle was removed for them early on, perhaps causing a very serious strength deficit.
Yeah, considering that team is basically oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the other team. Yeah. That is a strength deficit, especially against the monstrous beast that exists in the other team.
Yeah, the Grody Greens made failed 54% of their armor rolls, so that certainly didn't help.
Nope.
Yep, rough game, but
his block dice were pretty garbage too.
Jesus, McMacky lost to Chorfs? The fuck? Ace Trucking Co. coming in and just wrecking house here.
Yeah, so we both predicted Khemri, unsurprisingly. Or at least I'm pretty sure we did. I wrote down that I predicted Khemri, but I think I meant both of us predicted Khemri, because otherwise there would have been 2 sets of brackets on my notes. Maybe Tself can correct me.
That's a hell of an upset. Great job, Quicks.
Yeah,
Kicks.
So it was both of us that predicted the Khemri, and the Khemri lost 2-0. Yeah, 22 armor breaks is a lot, which will probably explain some of that. 5 casualties and 4 KOs sustained for the Khemri, although the Chorf suffered 5 KOs of their own.
Could it have been that the Khemri got removed pretty early and the removals were on Tomb Guardians and they couldn't do anything else?
Well, there were 5 regen attempts, so 5, and 3 of them failed, so that's pretty significant.
Yeah, their entire team is regen, so.
Well, 3 of them failed is relatively significant. It depends on who they failed on, but yeah. 2 failed catch attempts, so not passing as well as they're like. My favorite number in this though is the 10 attempted dodges with 0% success.
Yikes.
That's, well, I mean, they're Khemri, but still, like, the fact that the Khemri are in a position where they feel like they have to dodge 10 times and then it literally never working is super unfortunate, because that's 10 turnovers on a 16 turn game.
Yeah, it looks like maybe a game where things did not go McMacky's way, and the Chorfs were able to capitalize on that. Maybe with some early removals, who knows? And just kind of, I mean, if 3 of those, if 3 of those removals were, if those 3 failed regens were Tomb Guardians, then yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the game. Who knows if they were or not?
A big failed surf attempt.
Rerolled into dub skulls.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Been there, done that. I once won in 81 while trying to surf a War Dancer with a Rookie Saurus, which got him armor busted. Which was the saddest moment of my life.
We then have the elf off in the not an anime sports team versus Rebellious Scions, High Elves versus Dark Elves. What would you have predicted? Do you know?
I mean, I think the High Elves, yeah.
Well, you're wrong, because you predicted the Dark Elves.
I think Tself did that one just to spite me.
I predicted the High Elves and you predicted the Dark Elves. So, hooray, we're even on points for this round, I guess.
Both at -1.
Excellent. Well, there's still 2 more contentious picks to go, so can only go up from here.
You guys like intentionally fuck me over?
Well, there was a lot of like meta picking, to be fair. Not necessarily attempting to fuck you over, but more like, well, Shadorra's ahead by like 8 points. I am never going to catch up unless there are divisive picks, so I'm just going to like bank on... I'm going to pick the other team just in hopes that maybe they win and then I get some points back. Because I can't really... It's not really going to be any worse. So there was some of that, which is probably not how I should do predictions, but you know, whatever.
Casual 25 SPP game for REL, not bad. Yeah,
not too bad. Well, he got 3 touchdowns. 12 armor breaks to 5. 48 blocks is a surprising number of punches for an
these are
elf
both like
game.
kind of punchy elves.
That is true. They both have a lot of stat ups.
So the high elves made 10 dodges. Would you like to guess how many the dark elves?
112.
44.
But I mean, I wasn't wrong. It's pretty close.
Within an order of magnitude. Yeah, well,
you have engineering training. Within an order of magnitude is good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean,
it's nearly within a factor of 2, which you could just safety factor that away.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, more removals for the high elves over the dark elves, and you know, high elves are slightly elfier than dark elves. Dark elves are the more punchier elves, but these high elves can keep up with the punching of the dark elves. So out-punching the team that is probably supposed to out-punch you certainly helps. And then they also have like the more speed and the sort of thrower-catcher duo that the dark elves don't necessarily have access to. So yeah, that certainly probably contributed to the 3-1.
Next up is another upset. Scooby and the gang getting a tie versus the Battle Brothers. The bottom of the table strikes back this week.
Yeah, so we let's see. You predicted the Bretonnians and I predicted the Necro, but they tied.
Okay, no,
so it doesn't really matter.
Definitely fucking with me if you picked the Bretonnians.
Well, no, it's because
I like Caloric, but
Scooby and the gang was missing their good wolf. Like they only had 1 wolf for this.
2 wolves, and both of them are amazing.
No, they're missing their good wolf though.
One of them is Agi 5, and one of them is Strength 4. Which one's the good wolf?
One of them is dead. So.
Wait, what? One of them's dead?
I'm pretty sure one of them is dead. Or am I thinking of a different team?
Did he lose one of his sweet wolves?
Or he was gone for a game, I think.
Okay, apparently Ben's thinking of high fivers.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other high elf team.
Yeah, no, Muttley 3 and Muttley Jr.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the other Necro team. Never mind. It was Al Bundy that died, I think.
Yeah, Al Bundy died like weeks ago.
Well, I don't remember why he picked the Bretts then.
Oh, I know why he picked the Bretts. Well, that's a tie, so no points for either of us. And then we have Archangel's Will versus Grungy Desert.
Why was that a 1-1 tie?
That's a good question.
The Battle Brothers took a decent amount of damage, but so did Scooby and the gang.
Did a ton of punching. 62 blocks and only getting 13 armor breaks is a pretty big
deal. You are correct, Archexcel. His Travel Scrabble's player ordering triggers me every time I open a team.
Apparently he is aware and finds it amusing.
I picked against the players ahead of me so that they might drop points and let me make playoffs. Well, there you go. That's why he picked.
I don't need your bullshit.
That's a tie. I mean, there was a lot of the Bretonnians got outblocked really hard, but they kept up on removals, which certainly probably helps in keeping things nice and even. Plus, Caloric has like
the gang made 4 to 4 regions, so
they have super speedy blitzers, and the blitzers are very, very like they have like 3 agi up blitzers or something, which they can kind of elf a little bit and probably squeezed out a touchdown that way.
Yep, anyway. Or like a failed critical thing led to Travel not scoring to make it a 2-1 grind. This looks like it should have been a 2-1 grind pretty easily, but couldn't quite.
What day is it? You don't like his picks, remember what day it is. I don't know what that means.
It's true. He's saying if I don't like his picks, remember what day it is, as in like show up to recap.
Oh yes, right. Yeah, fair. There you go. It's your own fault. That was funny though. I messaged him being like, "When do you want to do this?" And he goes, "I forgot it was Thursday." Like literally,
I was out shopping. I
Not even
I
like a
hadn't
good
gone
excuse.
shopping in like 2 years for new clothes. I'd bought like some stuff online, but I hadn't actually like gone out for reals. And Tristan was not in the same boat, but certainly like needed clothes as well. So we like got off at like 4 from work and like went downtown and shopped from like 4:30 until like 9.
That sounds
like
like
that.
hell.
No, I don't know. I like shopping more than
I do not.
Most bros.
I mean, my shopping trips generally go, my pants no longer function as pants. I should probably go buy more pants so I have pants to wear tomorrow. And then I'll go and I'll try on like a pant until the pants fit. And I'll buy these ones, please. And then I leave. Like, I wear shoes until they're no longer function as shoes. And then I go out and I buy one pair of shoes and I wear that shoes until it's not shoes anymore.
So I bought shoes, I bought a pair of shorts, and I bought something like 12 t-shirts. Because Montreal summers do not allow for like alternative.
Every t-shirt I currently own has been what is like a free t-shirt that has shown up from like sponsored things or like going to events or whatever, or like random novelty t-shirts that have either been given to me, like that have been given to me by other people. I think I own 2 t-shirts that I've actually purchased. One of them is this one, actually, by the way. This is the REBBL t-shirt. It's a great t-shirt.
It is a great t-shirt. I kind of want to pick one up.
They're
So
very
like
comfortable.
90% of the shopping was just me throwing like pretty things at my pretty partner and then like watching her try them on. So there are worse ways to spend an evening. And
Fair
then
enough.
because we had both spent like several $100s, we were like, fuck it, let's go out for really fancy Mexican food and cocktails. So then we went out drinking.
No, I messaged him and he was like, I forgot it was Thursday, which is like the weirdest thing ever.
I was sitting in a changing room waiting area at Tristan, the store, my partner. One of her favorite stores is the store with her name. So
I'm with most of chat here. Like, I literally wore pants until they wouldn't like do up anymore because the zipper fell out. And I was like, well, I guess I need to buy more pants. And then
I when I'm shopping for myself, that's what I do. I just like go in, I spam a bunch of stuff, and then I leave.
And then
especially for like, there's a place here called Jeans, and I hate jean shopping because it's such a fucking tedious waste. But you go in there and you're like, I'm a 32 waist. I want like dark, slim fit jeans, and they just hurl jeans at you like while you're waiting in line at the changing room. And then like throw them all on. They like tack them up so they can do the alterations there for the legs, and they kick you out. And it takes like 20 minutes. It's really busy, but it's like magically efficient. It's this enormous warehouse.
Oh god, no, that's even way more complicated than I do.
You make zero decisions beyond like, are these okay? Like, do these fit?
Yeah, no, I just don't interact with people though. I go in, I grab like 8 pairs of jeans off the shelf, and I try them on until one fits, and then I buy it and leave.
Yeah, but it's like, it's great because you're like, these are close, but they don't quite fit like this, and they just like, they know what they need to give you to make it work, so it's just a lot less.
Oh, it's fine. My sizes are relatively easy.
You're basically just like leaning on someone way more knowledgeable than you, which is what I always want to do. I always want to have like an expert help me do everything because it just makes everything.
I found the best shoe place, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's in like near where I live, and it's just an enormous warehouse with like one staff member at the checkout and like piles of shoes. And you just go in, and it's like, you don't have to talk to anybody, you don't have to like tell people like, do you have this in size 11 or whatever. You just like walk down the racks and like and search the giant warehouse for like the number on the side of the shoe, and you pull it out and you put it on, you're like, great, that fits. And then you like talk to the one person who works there for like 15 seconds to pay for it and then leave. It's called the Shoe Company, and it's amazing.
That's pretty alright.
Anyway, can we let's go back to this instead of talking about clothes.
That was our 20-minute shopping interlude while we look at Archangel's dead catcher.
Yes. So, I predicted the Wood Elves and you predicted the Nurgle, so I win. Haha.
God damn it! I would have predicted the what? Fucking Tself. Jesus Christ.
I'd like to buy my shoes on Amazon, but I have weird feet that I need to make sure that I have to wear like insoles because my arches are really, really high, so I need to make sure they fit before I buy shoes.
I bought my shoes on Amazon until Clark stopped making the sneakers I like and started making garbage, and now I have to buy my shoes like a real person.
If I found a brand of shoes that I knew would fit my like insoles and stuff, and I would just spam buy those on Amazon. But I'm too like nervous to try buying shoes on the internet without checking to see if they fit my stuff first.
It's also true for all you Americans. Shopping online in Canada is a much more miserable experience than it is.
It's true.
You just like have access to so much fewer things.
We got back on the tirade. That's a strength 3 catcher who is now dead.
That was a strength 3 catcher, yes.
Archangel's Will did win 2-1. One successful pass, one successful catch, but they suffered a death, two deaths actually, along with a bunch of KOs. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what we said when we were talking about it, is that Archangel can win this if he wants to, but he was probably going to come out with much less of a team. And that's exactly what happened.
Archangel made 12 out of 31 armor rolls. He failed 62% of the time.
Yep.
It's pretty legit. So yeah, not a great game for the elves in terms of that, but they did elf it up pretty nicely, and they
did win.
They took the win.
So after that, this is what the leaderboard looks like. That loss or the tie, I guess, for McMacky was actually, or no, loss was pretty serious there, because it puts Travel Scrabble like very much in catching range for next week. They're 1 point apart now. Even a tie or a win there would have been a lot better than a loss. I mean, it always is, but in terms of this particular situation.
Yeah, so Archangel's actually in the position I predicted. Travel Scrabble and McMacky are flipped. I had originally written McMacky would win the division, but then I changed to Travel, and now I'm thinking if I'd kept it, I would have. I might have done.
I have McMacky
and then
first.
I predicted Stouticus would be 5th, and Stouticus is currently 10th. So I'm not going to get that point.
I mean, I predict Zeta would be 3rd, but he's in 6th now.
Yeah, neither of us are getting that one. ArchXL is crushed.
I had Stouticus in 4th, and he is gone. And I had Tself in 5th, who he currently is, so that's not bad.
Yeah, that's true.
All
right.
Well, let me pop up this thing real fast too. Div predictor. Badoop. So even with that, basically because of that loss, Can we do it? Yes, we can. Is not locked for playoffs yet. I mean, they're locked for postseason. Like they're going to either the Challengers Cup or the playoffs.
No, they're
not. No, they're not. It's very close.
0% chance to come 6th. It shows as 0.0, but it's not quite 0.0.
No, it's 0.4.
0.04.
Yeah, 0.04. So like even in week 12, there's a lot of changing that can do amongst the top, but we have Khemri do it, yes we can, Scooby and the gang, not an anime sports team, and Archangel's Will are all like very, very high in terms of being playoff or at least postseason contenders. And then there's a relatively even chance between Pantheon Passers, Arsgochia, Fear and Bloating to move up into that spot if things go their way this week. Outside chances for Battle Brothers and Ace Trucking Co., and then below that they are done. Grungy Desserts has a 0.57% to get to the Challengers Cup.
I mean, that would earn me a point. So Stouticus, that would earn me 2 points. So Stouticus, if you're listening, I just need you to come 5th, please. I need you to get that 0.57%.
You know, I mean, when it's that low, it's basically you're relying on all of the other people to lose rather than
I remember what happened that time in minors when you made playoffs with a negative.
That was my favorite. I was like, I only made playoffs if very specifically 2 teams tied. If they had to tie. If either of them won, I didn't go. If they tied, I went to playoffs, and then they tied. It was amazing. I had a TD differential of -1. Perfect. All right, let's bring that back down again.
And then you got fisted by FD.
Yeah, well,
for your troubles.
Yes. Took me like an entire season to recover from that game. Let's look at the do you want to look at the teams?
Yeah.
An anime sports team, RHXL, ITV High Elves.
Yep, despite some damage sustained this season, he's looking pretty good. Heading into the
10 elves.
Probable playoff spots with 10 elves. It's more elves than most elf teams. All of them are developed. He has no rookies, which seems like... Well, I mean, he's just putting block guys on the line. I guess it's not that bad. Blocking one of the loners. He's got 210k. He could buy a bench. What a novel concept that would be.
Weird.
He could have only two rookies and not Cinderella 9 on the line.
Does he have a
You kind of want non-Cinderella 9 to die.
He has a squig sandwich kiosk, so yeah, the only thing he really has to spend money on is a lineman, and I imagine he will. There's no reason to hold on to 210k unless you absolutely want to like scum inducements in your next match. I don't see. Maybe Girls in Panzer is very close to leveling.
Same with absolutely not Eric here. He's really close to getting to really well. Maybe Girls in Panzer.
There's a lot of really close levels.
I need to be retired level. He's not going to be retired until he dies, I imagine. But he's niggled and he's rolled only normals. So really hoping for a double here, maybe for guard.
Blow it all on cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Hey man, cheerleaders are great, especially those orc ones.
You know what sucks though? When you run out of rerolls. Buy more rerolls. 10 rerolls. Let's go. You can only get 8. I don't care. Rookie numbers. Bump that shit.
Next match, I'd be very surprised if we don't see like 1 or 2 levels at least out of this team.
Yeah, 2 levels on 2 dead elves, I'm sure.
Yeah, initiate Aussie, that one, Azanius, Aussie Anus. Number 15, the lineman is. It looks like it's leveled up recently.
How is that lineman still alive?
I don't know, but he's plus movement, blodge step guard, which is incredible.
The prettiest piece I have ever seen.
I love him.
Yeah, sidestep is great. He's now a blodge step plus movement guard lineman.
So good.
Awesome.
That's an incredible lineman. Very expensive, but an incredible.
Inazuma 11 is the closest he has to a legend player. It's kind of a weird player. I mean, it's a surfing threat, I guess. I don't know how your surfing threat eats so much SPP, but this one does. Really hoping for some doubles. That's what this team is lacking other than the guard piece. It wants like a killer catcher, maybe. It wants maybe some more guard, things like that.
This is a surprisingly fair high elf team.
I would call still not Megalobox pretty unfair, but yeah, not
like compared to the dark elves in this div or like the high elves in the other div. They are some elves that aren't as crazy. Ace Trucking Co. Speaking of kicks in his very small playoff chances. Well, his next game he's missing 2 hobgoblins.
Oh no, Dusty Bottoms, the movement busted, armor busted, dirty player hobgoblin. I think finally needs to retire.
You'd think so.
You can get a new one. Tina's also probably dead. You kind of like the fast movement, quote unquote, of the hobgoblins.
Hey, that one's movement 7. He's fast.
He's a speedy boy, Netherlander.
That's true. There was a lot more scary elves on your team a couple weeks ago. Then we got some sort of typical Chorf things. Mighty Blow and Guard in some combination, and then you pray that one of them rolls doubles, and 3 of them have. So we've got a Mighty Blow Claw, and a Movement Bust, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's hard to get rid of the Claw. And then 9 Ball is 9 Ball still, with Mighty Blow Claw piling on Pro and Jump Up. Fairly normal. My favorite is the movement. Wait, is that a movement up, double movement busted Chorf? It is. Oh my god. I'm dying. This is my favorite player ever now. He's a movement up, double movement busted Chorf. Oh my god. He accidentally rerolled a 5 winnings into a 1, so he can't afford a new Chorf now because he hit enter on the keyboard. Okay. Well, see, you're
No, I remember the discussion on this. He was basically like, should I fire Doc? And we're like, yeah, eventually fire Doc, but take the movement for now until you can afford to. Yeah. Okay.
So your first mistake was trusting Cyanide's UI design. Your second mistake was getting a second movement bust on this dwarf.
I mean, this is a game where alt-tabbing back into the game causes you to kick the ball to the farthest possible corner and get a touchback every single time. So
sometimes it just stops letting you click on things and you have to force quit it.
It's true. Mace, second son of Ace, is still around. Boy. I will stop acknowledging this team's existence if he dies. He's picked up Dauntless because, of course, he has. He only takes blue-green skills. I like it. Themes
so general skills? Like, yeah, you know, they're color-coded by type, right?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't know. Thick Skull is more like yellowy orange than red.
Sure.
Just gonna shrug at you.
Whatever you say, boss. Let's move on.
Yeah, I do know they're color coded. You son of a bitch.
Nurgle's FTDs and from High Lord Salt. There's not going to be a whole lot of change here because there's like 5 million legends on this team. And by 5 million, I mean 3, but that's still a lot.
I think Gonorus the Pestilent has picked up legend recently.
I like Legend Guard. Typical of Nurgle warriors.
Guard's a good skill.
Lord Herpestus is still how he is. 2 new, relatively new Nurgle warriors. I know this pain. It sucks so much to have 2 really good ones and then 2 like rookie ones. Because the 2 good ones are going to do all the work, and then the rookie ones are going to take forever. Once they get that like first MVP in 1 random Kaz, they can pick up block, and it makes it a little bit easier, but it's such a pain in the ass.
He is a vanity ass with.
Then we have, you know, the Beast of Nurgle's got guard stand firm. 2 more legends in Scrotus and Wardergore. We've seen them before. Sphinctus the Swollen is close to leveling though. 1 more SP. E. That was a weird. I tried to suppress a cough there and it didn't work out very well. Just block. We've got a killer. We've got a ball carrier. We've got the wrestle tackle frenzy maybe. Like a frenzy goat.
I don't hate Frenzy. He needs some more guard. I don't hate a block guard Pestigore, though I know it's harder to squeeze in a block guard Pestigore on Nurgle.
You could fit it in on him. You have the 3 sort of Pestigores most people generally aim for, and then the 4th one is kind of build your own whatever you want. Some people do frenzy bits, some people do like a second killer, some people do like a guard piece. It's all reasonable options. The real problem is that he's only going to have 2 Rotters for his next game, which really sucks, and he can't afford a new one. So, no a blade of Rotter armor on the LOS for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit dicey, certainly.
Arsgotia and Zeta. How, like, every time I look at this team, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a lot of skills. How? And then look up at the TV, and I'm like, why is this so high? But it's because, you know, you're used to players starting with like more than 1 or 0 skills, and just beastmen are just horns, so like all of these things are added value.
Yeah, and like there's a couple of doubles, though less than you'd think.
Yep. One,
I mean it's a great team. It's got 2 Palmers, one of them's a legend, one of them's not. Genti, it's picked up Palm since I last looked at this team. He lost one of his warriors,
unfortunately.
A little while ago, though. Yeah, no, this is a while ago, 16 matches. I think Zelios has just been kind of a rookie forever, unfortunately.
Well, they will be. Same problem as we had with Nurgle. They're a little bit easier to level as Chaos because the Movement 5 and Agi 3 as opposed to 4 and 2. But
Movement 5 Agi 3 does help, though.
Still a pain.
Pain in the ass, yeah.
We have new guard on this Beastman. Speaking of guard Beastman.
Yep. Jax is a good support piece. He's had one before. Tanors is of course like his primary support beast guy.
Yes.
Probably gonna take stand firm for his legend level. Yeah, I don't mind stand firm. I think it's good to have another pillar piece if you can get one on chaos.
Yeah. If you rolled doubles there, would you take dodge or still take stand firm?
If I rolled doubles on that beast, I would take dodge.
Yeah, the strength 4 blodge is really good.
Yeah, I mean, like, Agi 3 dodging is still fine. He's got high enough movement to take advantage of it. He can be your, like, quote-unquote mobile guard.
Yep. Blitzing threat, or the frenzy threat, surfing threat, I mean, is very cool. And 4 SPP from leveling.
I think it's only marginally better than stand firm, though. Because stand firm is so nice on strength 4 pieces.
Then you can pick up stand firm on Mufagors and make him much more credible of a threat, certainly, so that people can't counter surf him. High fivers, Uber the Nuber. I think this was the team that I was thinking of. It was because they have both paid the Flesh Golem tax and the Werewolf tax recently.
Yeah, he's had a rough season. I mean, blank the Werewolf says it all, really.
Yeah. Well, that was Al Bundy, the really unfair werewolf, and now it is blank the really fair werewolf. Blank the fair werewolf.
Lives by the sea.
Yeah.
The Sea of Tears. Uber the Noober having...
Hugginator is a great
best.
flesh golem name. He's also very new, I think. Yeah, 0 matches, so incredibly new.
Yikes.
Match with Lurch, who's got most of the skills you want.
Does he have a name that's just the same color as the background or something? Yeah, it isn't transparent. Okay. Fun times.
Well, it's hard to know what his name is if we can't see it.
Still got the remnants of a good team. He's still got 3 great support guard pieces. But Bundy 4.0 is the fairest wolf, and ergo is not that great.
I also like
The
Clammy
Bundy
the zombie.
is
That's a
kind of
good name too.
Yeah. And you know, he's got at least 1 guard zombie, so he's got a pretty good guard line for Necro. 4 is usually where you end up at, but
Yeah.
unfortunately having it on an AV busted zombie is far from ideal. So
He's still got like the skeleton of a reasonable team here, but he's lost some important pieces, which is going to make it pretty difficult for a bit. But it's entirely possible to build them back up. It's just going to take a bit of concentrated effort, I think.
yeah, I'm sad I lost my guard zombie in clan to a turn 16 non-mighty blow hit, because otherwise I would have had 6 guard on a Necro team, which feels quite unfair.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Another Nurgle team, Fear and Bloating, the Red Joker. This one is 2150 though. No, despite having no legends, so
Nope,
a little bit wider.
Just a really broad team. It's got levels exactly where you want it, except he can't put 3 Rotters on the L. Well, I mean, he can. He's got 250k. He can do
Yeah,
whatever.
this is the Nurgle team that I think I like the best in this division. It's got all of the things it needs, and they're all like relatively healthy. Armor 8 Nurgle Warrior is a little bit annoying, but you don't drop a guard Mighty Blow Claw block Nurgle Warrior. He's got a ball carrier. He's got a blitzing like Pestigore. He's got a sacking Pestigore.
Well, what he's missing is a Claw Mighty Blow blitzing Pestigore.
Yeah, he's got Mighty Blow, and he's 8 SPP from Claw, which is what you get next there, certainly.
Yeah, but I mean, he's never gonna get Claw Palm until Legends, so it's not really. You don't want piling on your guard piece, so he's.
You probably build Brash Gores as it, and he's probably relatively new. That's like literally the only thing this team doesn't have. But for now, he still has Mighty Blow Tackle, which helps against like the Elf teams and stuff. And for the Bash teams, you've got 4 Claw Nurgle Warriors, which they're the ones who are going to get up in the face of those Dwarfs and Chorfs and stuff. So that can certainly carry you for a little bit until you build up a new Pestigore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, I think this is it's the highest TV, unsurprisingly, but it's also, I think, the Nurgle team in the best like current position in terms of like player development.
Yeah, it's
not
only
necessarily in
2050
standings,
for real, so it's not that serious. But yeah,
I'd probably pick up another zombie if I were him. At this point, you don't care about TV and you have a bunch of money, so like I would buy more Rotters.
Yeah, another Rotter. He might be saving for the off season, but I don't know what he would. I mean, he's probably thinking about buying a Nurgle Warrior to replace his other one, but he's middle of the table. He's going to be struggling to find a good one, I think, because there's a lot of competition for Nurgle players.
Yep, because there aren't very many of them.
Oh, never mind, what am I doing?
It's Pantheon Pastors and Tself in his 2000
I went to
TV
the schedule, and then I just looked at a random game, and it was like Quicks versus...
That one!
Yeah. Tself has 11 whole players and a lot of red numbers.
Not as many as...
is still alive?
with
No, we don't talk about that. Yeah, I mean, he's still got the very speedy, annoying sticky blitzer. He's still got
annoying.
Elvalon somehow. The double niggled movement busted.
Jamie Lee Curtis, which is a great name.
Yep. Also movement busted. Only just movement busted. Yeah.
But Agi, Blodge, Step, Leap.
Then you have Iteran, Mitigard, Draug, Tunavale. Tunavale, but Tunavale is better. The Veil of Tuna.
It's just a mask made of fish.
Yeah. Very expensive mask.
Chunk of tuna duct taped to your face. This is my tuna veil.
It's a very pricey headgear. And then a Mighty Blow Tackle Catcher. Yeah, I mean, this is like a really solid team. It's got a lot of really good cool pieces.
I would hate to play against this elf team. Hate it.
Really frustrating. Sif Muna, movement 5, casually, but has all this passing skills, so it doesn't really matter.
And kickoff return.
Because he's basically like an orc thrower, so
he is an orc. He is an orc thrower because he's got the mandatory agi up. You know.
And then a double for strong arm because they don't have.
I think that's the biggest compliment you can pay an elf team is I would hate to play this team.
Yeah, pretty much. And then a bunch of wrestle pieces for the line. It's a frustrating team to play against for sure. If you don't pitch clear them, they're just gonna.
Yeah, Sif Moon is 6 SPP to Legend.
And then what do you take? Dodge. Sure
Um,
feet for those GFIs he's probably throwing. Kick.
Kick.
Yeah, all right. Well, the problem with kick is you don't want to field Sif when you're on defense, but I guess
He has
you
11
always
players.
have to. Yeah. But that is the theoretical problem. Is if you ever had a bench, you'd want to bench Sif on defense like 100% of the time.
Not if he had kick.
Yes, that would.
Analysis-based results. Moving on. The Grody Greens and Lazarus Diggs. He's been through some rough times lately to the point where this team is basically the beast of Nurgle and nothing else.
Well, and Tetanus Timmy still going strong.
That's true. He is Agi too, but that doesn't really matter so much.
There are 0 Rotters on this team.
Yep. Not one. There's one rookie Nurgle warrior, and there are 3 that only have 2 levels. Although they're very close to moving up a bit more. The biggest problem is right now this team is Tetanus Timmy and the Beast. Nurgle can often struggle in games where they don't get the removals they need, and you have exactly one player capable of getting removals right now. His ball carrier died again, which really sucks.
I know that pain.
And he has no rotters. He's not even going to get free rotters very easily because he doesn't have much in the way of kill. It's unfortunate. But it's not the end of the world, honestly. Like this season, it's pretty much over. But to be fair, you probably aren't in contention anymore anyway. Yours not. No, you're totally eliminated. So I would just focus on trying to level those Nurgle warriors. And if you can get like Dazathan to Claw Mighty Blow, if you can get some Mighty Blow on the other 2 who are very close, that last guy's 1 SPP from leveling. Tetanus Timmy, he's only Agi busted, and otherwise he's like the perfect killer. You've still got a ball sacking threat. You can build a new ball carrier. They're the fastest and easiest things to level on Nurgle, really, because someone has to score.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
And Yaza's Yaza.
He's
oh
gonna
my
be trying
god.
to
Oh,
rebuild
so good.
in Div. Like Div
1, 2, probably 2.
He's definitely getting bumped down. Div 2A or
That's
Div
fine. There'll be less Nurgle teams there, probably. And
I mean, not with the results that the Nurgle teams pulled in this div. High Lord, Laz, and Stout are all likely to get demoted.
well, they'll keep playing with each other, or maybe they'll split them up. But man, Yazov Mucus, what a player! I played with him in Imperium a little bit, and God, the number of like stupid cage dives I do, and having them work, Tself can vouch for me. It was incredible.
Alright, let's keep going. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
McMacky. McMacky does not seem to have sustained any serious damage. All of his Tomb Guardians live on.
Yep. Nothing really to say in terms of leveling them either. The bone. I thought he was a Tomb Guardian. That's the Blitzrot at the top. I don't think anything's changed in terms of the Tomb Guardians.
Mechis might have picked up Grab recently. That looks like a recent level. King Punchy is about to level and pick up Stand Firm as well, probably, or Break Tackle maybe.
We saw a lot
Break
of
Tackle
casualties in the game against the Chorfs, but they're all still here, so they must have been badly hurt or what have you, because there's no red numbers. Not a 1.
Nope, his team is pretty healthy, or like dead skeletons or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great looking team, still poised to do very well. I mean, obviously he's going to go to playoffs at this point, barring an absolute miracle. If he can level up, never give up Ned and King Punchy before he goes, and Rob last
Yeah, all very close.
Great place.
1
Like,
SPP,
he'll
1
have an
SPP, 2
extra guard.
SPP. Oof,
He'll
and
have
the
extra
Almighty Blow.
Stand Firm, and he'll have maybe like a Break Tackle on King Punchy because he's blocked, so he's a little bit more reliable. It might be nice to have a more mobile Tomb Guardian. He might take Stand Firm though, just to make like a wall of Stand Firm Strength 5 pieces. I wouldn't blame him.
No, that'd be incredible.
Yep. Really good. I think he wants to get. He might want to pick up Frenzy on the Bone Man. I'm not sure if that's what he's planning to do with that Jugs. He's 3 SVP away as well. He's already got a Wrestle Surfer or Wrestle Frenzy piece, but that's probably not for surfing. It's more for sacking. I don't know.
The Juggernaut is also helpful, just for the like pushing stand farm players out of the way and stuff. It turns out Khemri are not exactly the most mobile team in the world, so being able to force away those pillars sometimes can be really helpful. Ooh, a thing happened.
Someone hosted you for one viewer.
Sure did.
This was like an auto host or something.
Batman Leg is hosted. Welcome along.
The bot that was probably watching.
It is a bot. You have won a 10-minute host on my channel. If you want to be chosen again, visit my channel. Good luck. Thanks. Good job.
Wow.
Okay.
Feel blessed.
Let's move on.
Hey, Velociraptor. Wow. Took some damage in his elf off.
I would like to point out that rolls more than normals has not rolled more than normals yet, but yes. Yeah, he got outpunched by Archexcel pretty seriously in the elf off.
Yep, so he's got an MNG on his strength up guy. He's got a strength bust on his best witch. Yikes.
Thanks. She's sitting 2 feet to my left.
So is that Emily?
Yes, it is.
She didn't say anything stupid like I always do.
No.
Minus point. Come on, Emily.
Thank you, though. Appreciate it. What do we have for level? So we're missing Louise REL now. Just an MNG though, I think. And Boadicea is now strength busted. Ouch. That's a block, sidestep, tackle, fend, juggernaut, strength busted witch. Oh, Russellford Sea Butter. Thank you. Welcome along. Mr. Rusty himself. Thanks for the prime and enjoy your steak mitten.
I don't know when I can yell at you again.
It'll be next month probably. What do you do with that strength busted witch? Like that's
Fire.
A dead witch really, but
Yeah,
it's
fire.
so unfortunate because that's a ridiculously good witch.
Ooh, fire.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
But it turns out you've got a strength up blitzer, a movement up blitzer, a movement up lineman, and an agi up lineman. So like you've got a lot of. If you had to pick one of these pieces to die, I mean, it sucks, but that's not the worst one, certainly.
Yeah, I wonder if he's planning on re-rolling. I wouldn't blame him. I mean, he's got the bones of a decent team here, but I think at this div with these elves, I might be tempted to try to.
Maybe. I mean, it depends on how you feel, I guess. But he's still got some certainly really good players. The movement 8 sprint elf is very cool. I like him. Or sure feet elf, sorry. I always get sprint and sure feet mixed up.
It'll be sprint at legend, possibly.
Yeah.
If it gets that far. Possible one turning, or maybe leap. I don't know. Probably removing a needed push is probably more relevant than the leap.
Than the push action. Yeah. Let's see. Then we have Travel Scrabble, the team that I thought lost to Wolf, but I was wrong. And can we not talk about this team? Like, look at this. It's got dumb stat ups. The players are all in the wrong order. I give up. Moving on.
Yeah, I don't know. They're dead white, picked up tackle. Their John Cutesack got good grab, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, this is very clearly a flesh golem at the top because it's at the top of the list and it's next to this other flesh golem. So this flesh golem is strength busted and armor busted and somehow lost all of its skills. So what a terrible flesh golem. You should fire it and buy a new one. Then we have another flesh golem with reasonable skills. That's fine.
So the cat's being really cute in the background, so I'm distracted.
Is she? Oh yeah, she's playing with little fish. That's hanging off the. We left that shelf on the bookshelf open just so she could sit on it, and then we taped a fish on a string to the top of the bookshelf, so that she can slap it while sitting on the bookshelf.
You almost can't tell that she's an evil bitch.
Yeah, double agi up wolf, strength up agi up white. Like, oh god, there's no wonder this team is doing well.
Like a filthy team.
No, there are 2 strength up. Like that's a strength up wolf. There are 2 stat up wolves. Like this is taking their like REL werewolf meme to like new heights. Not only do they get doubles, they get stat ups. It's ridiculous. But put your players in the right order, please.
Yeah, and get rid of that niggled zombie. You have 15 players. You don't need it.
Grungy Desserts, another good Nurgle team that has basically all of the things you want.
This is the highest TV Nurgle team.
It's a little bit more beat up, but it has every player definitely, right? So Sponge Cake Man bulk is the ball carrier. Yellow lead brown, or sorry, yellow lead brown is the ball carrier. Sponge Cake Man is like the ball hawk. All apple pies is the killer. He's agi busted, but who cares? Donut in the hole is the surfing threat, who has picked up a second plus movement now. So now he's block, frenzy, movement 8 juggernaut. So he'll surf you from wherever. He's also a kind of scary backfield sort of safety type player. If you try to 2-turn against it, he can still get pretty much anywhere, and he gets 2 shots at hitting you. And it like actually opens up 1-turning as a reasonable possibility for the Nurgle, which is terrifying.
I don't know if I would call that a reasonable possibility, but it is a technical possibility.
It's a reasonable possibility in that you may actually try it. Like 90% of the time with Nurgle, you're like, well, I could try the 1-turn here. It's just probably not worth it. But when you have movement 8, suddenly like the difference between movement 6 and movement 8 is massive for one turn.
I bet you a Nurgle 1-turner with movement 8 is still a sub 10% play.
Yes, but it's worth trying to win games. Whereas you're
I know,
almost
just before you were like, you said 90%. I was just playing with that.
When did I say 90%?
See Emily's arm. No, get it out. It's disembodied.
But it's like No. I said 90% of the time if you're setting up with 1 turn left as Nurgle, the 1 turn doesn't cross your mind at all. It's not even worth attempting.
Right. This is a great team. Angry Churro is 3 SPP away from guard or tents. I know you want to say tents, and I want to say guard.
Tents. You have 4 guard. It's good enough. Tents.
Guard. You need more guard.
I have 1 guard on my Nurgle team. 1.
Yeah, and how many players do you have left?
All of them?
Didn't a bunch of them die?
Yeah.
Losing.
But I've bought them again. Whatever. I'm second in the div. I'm not really losing.
Are you still second? Are you going to playoffs?
I mean, probably. It depends on if I would like. It's really close in the div. The top 3 teams are within like 1 point of each other, and there are 3 spots. So it's like pretty reasonable that any of us could go, but it's also pretty reasonable that any of us could get knocked out. So it depends very heavily on my next 2 games. But like I started the season off like 5-0 or something. But yeah, I'm probably going to playoffs. Anyway, Beast of Nurgle, guard stand firm, got the things he wants. 6 SPP, you pray for doubles or consider recycling. But the guard stand firm is really useful to hold and have around for winning games. So I would only consider recycling if like you were giving up on the rest of the season. And Beast of Nurgle are so slow to level anyway. He's probably not getting that 6 SPP for like another season.
Yeah, no, so it's fine. Really.
Prehensile tail on that Nurgle warrior is interesting. You don't see that often.
Oh yeah, Black Hole Sunday. Yeah, it's true. It's not that much of. It's like nice to have sometimes, but it's not really valuable enough to commit the 20 SPP or 20 TV to usually.
He's committed himself to being that roadblock player. He's already got guard, block, stand firm. He's decided not to go with like the Mighty Blow Claw package on that guy. And if you didn't roll doubles, your options are tentacles or prehensile tail. And tentacles on strength 4 is not particularly valuable. So
I think I like it more than it's more likely to cause an
turnover.
issue, not a turnover, but an issue.
Yeah,
than Hail is.
Anyway,
movement 3, it's kind of mad, but it is what it is.
Archangel is still 17-10 despite suffering 2 deaths in the last game and only having 9 players. Because he who catches unseen still exists.
Yeah, and so does Adrastia, sitting at 200k by himself with 2 skills.
2 skills, 200k. Okay.
Yep. The Iron Skin AV Busted Tree has leveled up for Break Tackle.
Not plus armor.
Sadly. Got to move those 2 squares, you know.
Well, it's the only other strength skill that really helps besides maybe multi-block. And if you're like tied up by that 1 zombie, it can be useful to like just get off him and do something else.
1 square away.
Yeah. I mean, there's strength 6, right? Like, don't think about it as like the dodge away from 1 zombie. It's cool. Like the play is right next to the tree, but the tree is entirely useless because he's tied up by 1 zombie. So cool. I can like dodge into that tackle zone and now I'm marking up other people or whatever if you need to. I mean, there aren't any other good strength skills. He already has stand firm and mighty blow, and he's picked up guard and grab. Like it's either break tackle or multi block.
thicker skull, whatever. Anyway, it's a good team. Saveri is a surprisingly good lineman at kick, raj, tackle, leap. It's like a secondary sacking threat for sure. He's got 2 Mighty Blow dancers, which we talked about being kind of weird. He's lacking
one of them
a
is strength
ball option, but in this division, like you said, there's so much sure hands that like strip ball is not that relevant.
You Catches Unseen is still an Agi 5 elf who's super annoying with like Nerves of Steel, pass, block, leap, Agi 5. Like you can't pass anywhere near him, and that's not a thing all people will think about when they're playing. Is like that's a really good intercept chance. Like not everybody is like, a lot of people just ignore intercepts. Like, yeah, it's a 6. They can get rid of it, they will, but like they won't like focus really hard on like not passing because there's a player in the way. You shouldn't pass if you Catches Unseen is in the way. Like, just don't do it.
People do a lot more math because you've got to be like, okay, where can I throw this that none of the squares within 3 movement are along the pass. Along the path of the pass.
And it's like potentially worth it to like do GFIs just to make sure you're out of pass or intercept range of him. It's like, it's pretty terrifying. Irveth is on his way to doing something similar, but he's more of a receiver with Blodge, sidestep, and Nerves of Steel.
Dead, so.
Certainly is. And then the thrower is picked up Sure Hands to protect against Strip Ball, presumably, but also to save rerolls in that 1 in 36 situation.
Well, the 1 in 6, you mean?
The 1 in 6 that could lead to a 1 in 36, but yeah, it means you don't have to use a reroll. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So yeah, still like a solid Wood Elf team, just like kind of a very bare bones one, which is working for him because he gets lots of inducements. He gets a wizard and
turns out wizard and Agi 5 movement 8 leap is a winning combination, regardless of who is around.
Like Eldril is kind of like a wizard. He's an automatic sack attempt, basically, once, because he then immediately dies every single time he gets blocked.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it's basically like another slightly less reliable wizard.
Then Battle Brothers, Cleric, missing a little bit for his next game with Lord Porohoy being out. I think just MNG'd, yep. And one of his 3 blockers being out. I think he might have lost one, because I remember he was at 3 and then I think he went up to 4, but maybe he just didn't go up to 4 and I'm misremembering. But that's just another MNG, but we're going to be down some of the more important Bretonnian pieces next game, certainly. Missing the really good pillar blocker and the mighty, well, one of the Mighty Blow, but more importantly, I guess, one of the Agi blitzers.
Yep, he's going to be real lean. Maybe playing Griff Ball next week. That'll be fun.
With the TV of the other teams in this div, yeah, maybe. But like this is, he's got really good blitzers, and they're like elfy blitzers, which allows him to play some pretty serious like rugby, as it were, rather than punching stuff. And it's worked out pretty well for him in a lot of situations, but not necessarily that last week.
Shadorra, get on my level.
There you go.
Thanks, Emily.
Thanks for the 500 bits.
You owe her a beer.
Yep.
Oh, she's now taking me off the list. I see how it is.
Yeah, you're not on the top cheers of all time anymore.
Squiggy, awkwardly enough, still is.
Yeah. Oops. Shall we look at the schedule for next week?
Yeah, let's do predictions.
Ours, Gochia, and Fear and Bloating. So we've got Zeta's Chaos, and we've got the Red Joker's Nurgle. So one of the higher TV Nurgle teams and the high TV Chaos team.
So Fear and Bloating was not lacking Avenge and could get up to 1.
Yep.
That means this is probably going to be a tough matchup for Z.
It is.
Z does have a bit of a bench.
While appearance and regen are things that exist.
Yeah, broadly speaking, it's a tough matchup for Chaos. Z has more guard, I think. Not even. So it's 5 guard to the Red Joker's probably 5. 5, yeah. So I think I want to give this to Fear and Bloating usually, but there's also the records to take into account, and
well, considering that I have considering that I have Zeta as one of the playoff predictions, I would like to give him the win, just to see if we can. I'd hope to have him. I want him to win, I guess, is the way I should put that. I don't necessarily think he'll win, but I really want him to win. So
I'll predict the Nurgle because I like winning our competition, if nothing else.
well, I'll pick Zeta then because I've already lost the competition and I want him to win.
Oh, I know, I already wrote it down. High Fivers versus Nurgle FTD. So this is the busted up Necro versus the busted up Nurgle. Not the super busted up Nurgle, just the like
Slightly busted up Nurgle.
Yeah, slightly busted up Nurgle.
Let's see. I feel like in
I mean, I feel like this has to go to the Nurgle. Unless,
feels very
like, barring
Nurgle-y to me.
Catastrophe.
Yeah, like the one thing that the Necro will have over the Nurgle here is like speed. If they can get away from stuff and utilize the high movement, Nurgle sometimes just can't catch up. And you like a lot of that kind of relies on the Nurgle player like forgetting about the fact that like wolf handoffs can exist and that sort of thing. And I don't know if
wolf handoffs are hard versus Nurgle as well because of stink, of course.
That's true, but like if you hand off from one wolf to another, you can get 16 squares in one turn, and that's kind of like the bane of Nurgle. Certainly, like I know I've lost against Necro games because I've just forgotten how fast players are and like not considered that. But I am also probably a worse player compared to the Nurgle coach who made it to the finals of playoff last season. Yeah, I feel like I want to give this to High Lord Salt. The Nurgle FTDs.
Yep.
Just
and
like
then we have
yeah, he'll have a good time removing players, I think, and the TD different or the TV differential isn't high enough for inducements to make a massive difference. Yeah, Pantheon Passers and Ace Truck and Co. So Tself's ridiculous elves and Kix's Chaos Dwarfs, who are sort of Claw Mighty Blow, which doesn't really do much against the invincible armor of Tself, apparently. His elves are made of titanium.
There's a lot of Mighty Blow tackle. I think Tself wins and dies.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me too. I think it's similar to the Archangel situation last week where Tself can win. He will probably lose players in the process, but he will probably win. Which is unfortunate for Kix because that will probably put him out of playoff contention if he loses that match.
I'm sure he is very concerned.
Oh, well, he was very surprised earlier that he had a technical chance still. But he probably will lose his technical chance upon not winning this game. So we're going to win a game, win this one. But I also have Tself in 5th, so I wouldn't mind Tself taking the win. But yeah, I predict Tself.
I need Tself to take a dive because he's not even in my top 5. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. We're in the final week. I'll vote on Chorf. I believe in Kix.
It's not the final week.
The final week.
The penultimate week. Grody Greens and Not an Anime Sports Team. We got ArchXL, and we have this is the sort of more broken Nurgle team. This feels high elfy to me unless Yaza pops off, basically. Like if you can get that Beast of Nurgle in a ridiculous place that ties up like 6 elves and then they can't do anything about it, then you can probably win, but that's basically the only thing that you have going for you against the elves here, really.
Nurgle inducements are garbage. I don't think that's gonna work.
No, and like you've got one player who's like reasonable at hunting down elves. Like you don't have a good way to stop the elves from like taking the ball from you. The Nurgle warriors, like we're not going to get removals really because we don't have a ton of like Mighty Blow or anything. Although the good news is like your Nurgle warriors are pretty close to leveling, and like just punching elves is a reasonable way to grab SPP. So that's a thing you can hope for.
So probably not.
Well, there's some 7s, but yeah, you're not wrong. But this feels very high elfy to me.
Yep, and then we have Khemri versus Battle Brothers. So it's going to be Griffball versus the Skelly Bros, but the Skelly Bros are probably going to beat the hell.
Is it Griffball? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Exactly 11 players, and he's down 390.
Oh, I mean that is Griff.
I don't remember how much. 320. So yeah, it's Griff and 70k.
I mean, I don't know if you actually take Griff there over a wizard, but
I don't think you do either because, like Griff, yeah, sure, he's like strength 4, agi 4, blodge, but the Khemri, it doesn't change the strength differential really.
Yeah. That said, I think the Khemri take this.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, McMacky has just shown he can play Khemri and has been doing very well this season. It's hard to bet against him at this point, especially with one of the more important pillars for the Bretonnians out, like that guard piece. Losing some guard against the strength makes a pretty big deal.
This would be a really good level or game for like getting the random casts he needs on those Tomb Guardians to level them up. Mighty blow.
Yeah, peasants.
Against peasants. Yeah.
Rebellious Scions and Archangel's Will. So we've got a weird elf off here. Probably something that neither of them are used to. With this div.
The beaten up Dark Elves versus the not very beaten up Wood Elves. The Dark Elves have 1, 2, 3,
9.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So they'll be at 1680.
1680 versus the 1710 and change Wood Elves, right? No, the Wood Elves only have 9 players,
so plus another 140, so 1850.
It's a wizard for the Dark Elves.
That's a big deal. And not only do the High Elves not get a wizard, the Dark Elves do get one, and
both of them are adding 140, so you can just ignore their. You can just keep them as what they are. They're 170k or 160k off each other.
So it's a wizard. And the Dark Elves can take advantage of the wizard. They've got a movement 8 blitzer. They've got an agi lineman. They can't take advantage of it as much as the Wood Elves can, but the Wood Elves don't get one, so that doesn't matter.
It's worth noting this would be the one game where having a strip ball piece would be really nice, as the elves have no sure hand.
Surprisingly, yes.
I mean, elves often don't have sure hands. It's like a very luxury pickup.
Certainly.
Especially on Dark Elves that don't have a dedicated thrower, really. Like, the runner is garbage and no one really uses him. So.
One of the blitzers and the Witch Elf being gone is a big problem. And I think the Wood Elves are elfier than the Dark Elves are, and honestly this is I think the weird situation where the double Mighty Blow War Dancers actually makes a pretty big difference too. There are 2 armor 7 Dark Elves, and even Mighty Blow spam quote against armor 8 isn't terrible, and with no bench on either side.
None of the Mighty Blow spam have tackle, so
that's true.
You're going to be throwing a lot of Mighty Blow hits, but you need tackle to do damage to most of Rebellious Scion's team. Rebellious Raptor's team.
Well,
there's 1, 2, 3. It was only 4. It was only
4 of 11.
Section. Yeah, it's not that bad.
I think I go with Archangel in this one.
And then we have Scooby and the Gang versus
do you pick a thing?
Desserts. Yeah, I said I agree.
Oh, you didn't. It didn't come through.
No.
Scooby and the Gang, yeah, and grungy desserts. So we've got Stouticus, and we've got.
So this is like one of the big. This is the big real Nurgle team with the big bench and the big kill.
Yep.
Actually, not the big kill. It's kind of a control Nurgle. Definitely, it's only got 2 claw Mighty Blow versus the Necro with their nonsense.
They both have a bunch of nonsensical stat ups.
Yep. So Stouticus can't get to the position I need him to be in. Travel Scrabble can, so I'm just gonna automatically vote for Travel Scrabble.
Well. Okay, then for my brain says Travel Scrabble, my heart says Stouticus for several reasons. One, he's picked me literally every week in his recap of my div, so I think I will support him a little bit. And 2, because maybe I have a chance at getting some points back on you if I actually pick the opposite team. So let's go with Stouticus.
You gotta gamble to win.
Exactly. You know? Risk big to win big. So I'll go with Stouticus.
That is the division. So now we're going to move on to 2A, and I'm going to pop by the bathroom and get some more water. So fly solo for a moment. Only 1 game played so far. I think that's a record.
That is a record. Wait, what? Where's Superfed? He hasn't played yet. Something's wrong. Well, I'll get things started, I guess. I'll entertain the masses by myself. I don't need you anyway. You're just the color commentator or whatever. You're here for Bants. Oath Blow and Crown Jelly. The Norse team that we're in a really bad spot and have come back since. They've gained a lot since the last few times we looked at them. They were down a lot of players. They still are only at 1 Berserker and 1 Ulf, but they were at 0 for a while, if I recall correctly. Or no, I think they had to have been at just 1, but they still have 1 of each, which is not great. But they did get a Yeti back, and that Yeti has picked up Mighty Blow. So now Mighty Blow Claw is likely to continue accelerating that development a little bit. We do have the 2 runners. One is movement busted, sadly, although he's picked up Sidestep recently to be Blodge Step, which is certainly annoying. The Berserker is very close to leveling. He's got his Blodge Guard Agi, he's also Agi busted, which is really annoying. So I don't know what you take for him as a next skill. Stand Firm, potentially, if you're going like the support piece with Guard and Blodge. Because he's definitely not the Pyleon kill you one. We've got the Ulf to do that with piling on Mighty Blow Guard Tackle. Looks like he's recently picked up Tackle as well. We do need another Berserker, I think, and we can afford one. We're at exactly 150k. The Dirty Player Dauntless Tackle piece is still very strange, and he's at Agi 2, which is... we got another Dirty Player Tackle piece. I mean, that's probably fine to have lying around. You want Dirty Player and Tackle on this team. Tackle is new on Sigurd Vigfusson. And then Dirty Player is new on Murphy's Redwoods Fours. Fours? Is it supposed to be Forest any regenerative characters? Likely. But that's another Dirty Player, so like spamming Dirty Player and Tackle. But he is coming back, certainly, getting the players back from where he was before. Rusty Sea Butter. Hey boss, how's it going? Charge of the recaps this year. Or this season. And his The Secret of My Success. There's a blank spot here, which worries me. Was there a thing there? Was there not? We'll never know. We have the 4 Black Orcs, very close to leveling on Sergeant Murphy, very close to leveling on Sergeant Adams. I say very close, 5 SPP and 6 SP.
Schedule, or did you start going through teams?
Oh, I started going through teams. Because
Oh, we can keep going. It's fine.
Might as well keep doing this. I forgot about the schedule for some reason.
Rusty took a bit of a beating, it looks like.
Yeah, so yeah, Dommy Fleet is out for the next game. We've got some red numbers around, but none of them are the worst. I mean, if you had to take red numbers, they're probably the best ones you could take, with Agi busts on the Black Orcs and then a movement.
Double movement busted guard line.
Yep, these movement 3. That's a thing. Then, build your own thrower, who is just leveled to pick up kickoff return to make up for that movement 5, I guess.
I love it.
On our way to Legend on Solo Vexer. We've talked about him before. He's been this level for a while. Is that another Agi? I don't remember there being 2 Agi Blitzers, so perhaps that's a new Agi Blitzer. We got 2 receiver options for the thrower lineman. He's 1 SPP from level.
Yeah.
New block on that movement 3 lineman. Block guard movement 3. Great.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's a pretty battered orc team, but it's got some fun players left.
Yeah, and like the Black Orcs are good enough. It's just like there's a couple random weird pieces in there. Like that lineman is pretty dead, but everything else is fine. You can keep going, certainly. They're not bad stat busts or anything on the Black Orc, and they have too many levels to give up on them.
Yeah, and the Black Orcs are good and the hard thing to level anyway, so rebuilding the Blitzers isn't the worst thing in the world.
Thick, rich, and creamy.
Can you never speak?
You can do the rest of this if you want. It's fine.
Okay. All the teams suck. I'm going to beg goodbye. El Patricito, the claw palm jump up tackle piece. Still kicking around. Same with Paris Dilton Jr., who has picked up dodge and a niggle. I don't know if the niggle is new. I think dodge is, though. Still hasn't gotten the double for piling on to make his jump up look like, a wonderful prediction. The double claw palm wolves. Double claw palm jump up wolves, to be more precise.
Exactly.
The rookie Flesh Golem, probably not Provolone, still hasn't earned a single SVP in 3 games. I think he got replaced because he was niggled, or I might be thinking of a different piece.
Ghoul is 2 SPP away from leveling. He's got Blodge Sure Hands movement fend. Sidestep?
Sidestep? Yeah, probably sidestep.
Unless you roll something crazy. Triple guard zombies is really nice to have. One of them is Agi busted and out for a game, but having 3 extra guard on the Necro team makes a pretty big difference.
I might consider firing the AV busted dirty player guard one. It's nice to have all that guard, especially because neither of your whites, no, one of your whites has it. Where's his other one?
There isn't another
is he
one.
missing a white?
Yep.
Okay, he's missing a white. So he suffered another white loss, and like so, admittedly, the loss of the kind of support positionals is made up for by the zombies. But I gotta feel like Corbin Dallas III is a bit bloaty.
Yeah, but I feel like I would rather buy a white first.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just fire him, but then you lose like a significant amount of bench for your next game. I feel like I'd play the next game and see how much money I make, and then buy a white, and then maybe consider firing him then.
Can't you buy a white with what you have? They're not that expensive, are they?
No, but you go down to so little money that if you lose anything important, you're screwed.
I don't call whites important, but yeah.
Well, they're
Cogs of War 4, Oververt, still kicking along. Belloc the Longbeard has picked up strength. Excellent. It's the Coltrane baby. 14 SPP from leveling, so 1 game.
Yeah, exactly.
Dizzy Wallen, the guard, dodge, diving, tackle, mighty blow. Longbeard is a piece that does things.
There's a lot of pieces that do things on this team, but really what we're here for is the Coltrane baby.
Yeah.
That's
Everything
why
else
we're here.
Is peanuts. Really, there's some new mighty blow. It's dwarves. They do the dwarf thing.
There's guard and mighty blow, but there's some weird pieces. Like you said,
I mean,
Dizzy
there are
Wallen and both runners.
5 dodge pieces. 5 dodge pieces.
Very dodgy dwarves.
Like FDs, but without all the strength ups.
Yeah, and plus a death roller. So it's just better, more fun.
Yeah, more fun.
Tackle on both
forget
Troll
the death
Slayers.
rolls
Tackle over mighty blow. It's certainly interesting. Like it's always weird. Like there's so many tackle. Why would you take more tackle? Well, it turns out that Longbeards are slow as hell. So taking it on somebody like that can actually move is a pretty good idea.
Over
Troll Slayers. I agree.
Troll Slayers, but that's about it. Yeah.
And he has done that. Damien Baird the Third down there has tackle mighty blow as a blitzer, and Jace Stratton, he'll probably get it soon. He's just happened to get blodge first or dodge first.
No, I mean I think you want mighty blow. I think this team has enough tackle. If I'm perfectly honest.
That's true. You probably do need more. I feel like I would have taken mighty blow instead of tackle on that Troll Slayer because it looks like that tackle is new.
Yes, I would have also done that.
But I mean, he's getting all the removals he needs with the Coltrane.
Or Jugs. I would have maybe considered Jugs.
How often do you consider Jugs? Isles. Fellas, go on at all. Not for science. This is still a team with.
He's got 2 players without perms now.
That's weird.
3. He's got 3 players.
There are 3 players without red numbers?
I think it's because they keep dying, though. I don't think it's because he's
true.
firing them.
Look at
Tenere
these-
still has no...
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
no
I hate it.
damage.
I hate this team. I hate it.
Yeah. Movement 10, natural 1-turner.
Natural 1-turner, strength 5 catcher, because that's a sentence that's ever been spoken before in the history of Blood Bowl. Like, you have first, you have
Frenzy, strength 5.
not only do you have to play a team that has strength 3 catchers, you need to get double strength up. A casual triple doubles blitzer with mighty blow piling on Juggernaut, like a stupid thrower, natural 1-turner, double agi 5 elves. This team is stupid.
It's so dumb. It's great. I love it.
It's oh my god, the natural 1-turner is so good on a high elf team. That blitz
This team gives me complicated feelings.
Yeah, this team makes me want to play high elves, honestly, despite all the red numbers. It's ridiculous.
Yep. And then we have Rolling Red, Fogmire Fen Beasts, Francis Drake's home, where he has done basically nothing. Every time I look at one of the post screens, it's always like Puff earning SPP out the Yin Yang, the Legend Saurus, but Sir Francis Drake doing nothing. It's picked up a strength up on Tredge, which is pretty huge.
Yeah, that's
his
a
break
secondary
tackle,
cross.
He's now strength 5, break tackle, blodge step.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Sitting at a cool 230k TV.
Strength 5 break tackle, a dodge he's like the most mobile Saurus in the universe, and then you can put strength 5 in places, which is very annoying. Strength 5 dodge step, blodge step for that matter. He really needs guard, but at this point he's not getting it until he's a legend, which is a long way off for a Saurus. But he's still really good until then. It's just sad that he doesn't also have guard. I think I would have, if you could replace, if I could replace sidestep with guard, I would think I would be happy.
Thulek, the
armor busted,
armor down, movement busted, blodge, guard, mighty blow, monstrosity
hero
exists. Yeah.
Quadruple Frenzy-saurus.
He's doing great with his quadruple Frenzy-saurus.
He is.
7
Puff.
wins,
Puff
2
is
draws,
legend.
3 losses. He is currently in second in the div. So what do I know?
Block, mighty blow, tackle, frenzy, pro dauntless. Like, it's amazing.
Red is a man who loves to have fun. And,
yeah, well, it's like there's a lot of counter meta picks here, and he's winning with it. So very clearly, he's doing well, and he knows how to bend the team to his play style. Certainly, like take the blank canvas. Well, take the blank canvas that is the Saurus, right? It's just a bunch of good stats that you then can sort of apply a bunch of different skills to, and he's picked skills that work with his play style and is making it really work, despite them being sort of counter meta skills, which I think is very, very cool. So I'm pleased. Well done, Rolling Red. I salute you.
Cantankerous Cretaceans. Vibosenda. He's got a fresh Croxagore, 0 SPP, 0 matches played. He's a rookie. He's looking fresh.
Yeah, his Croxagore died. He was like, his last game was going to be rough because he was missing like 4 Saurus or something. Like last game, his team, he had a couple really rough games. Like he lost a Croxagore. He had a bunch of like injured Saurus.
Classic lizard problems.
He ended up playing a game with like those 3 skinks, like 3 Saurus, and then a bunch of loners. Like it was pretty unfortunate. Well, like when you look at a match report afterwards and the result includes like 6 loner reroll attempts, you know, like it's not the greatest game in the world.
Some shit went down, yeah.
But he's coming back. You know, he got his Saurus back. He's re-picked up the Croxagore. They're all in desperate need of development, but they exist again now, which is certainly a good first step. And we still have those skinks.
And he still got the gross skinks. It's a fine team. It's going to be a hell of a rebuild season. He's rebuilding 3 full players.
Yeah.
Techi Triceratops is pretty close to leveling. Like lizards can make do with rookies, especially like a few at a time. But if this team takes any more damage, I would probably consider rerolling.
Yeah, if he loses
Gorosaurus
Mazdamum or Gorosaurus, like if either of those go down, or if one of those super skinks die, then you might be in
Mazamund is now a
rough shape.
for Saurus. He's double movement busted. So there's a lot of damage
does have
here.
stand
It's
firm,
gonna be a hell. It's gonna be a lot of work to rebuild for sure.
Yeah, he had a really unfortunate couple games, but he's recovering nicely.
Speaking of unfortunate games, 1090 Amazon.
Well, I mean, he's missing 300k of players because of 2 MNGs. Really, they're 1400 Amazons.
It's true. It's true.
Although his next game is going to be 4 loners, which is another 200k. It's still 1290, but like that's a lot of loners.
I mean, he's out pork shorts, which is the spirit of the team. So I don't know how he's supposed to win.
But the big thing is he's out Doris, which is the Agi 5 piece, right? Like we've seen Fall win games on the back of having that Agi 5 do Agi 5 things, and he's not going to have it for his next game, which is a pretty big deal. Still exists. I think it's just an MNG.
It is, yeah.
But that's going to make the next game pretty unfortunate, which is not a great situation to be in, considering that Fall is like on the sort of edge of playoff, if I recall correctly. Like he's in it, I think, currently, but it's like pretty tenuous.
Well, he's going to get mad inducement, so there's that at least.
That is true, and Amazons get like Roxana, which is pretty good, and like Zara is pretty good.
Zara,
Yeah, Fall is, you know, he's got an outside shot at playoffs certainly. So like the next game being hard is going to make that difficult to maintain.
Oh, I lied. Guess who just finished their game?
Is it Superfed? Yeah, of course. Of course. Mr. J.
It's Chorfs.
You won a
They
game!
murder.
Hooray! Did you take
they
like
do-
40 casualties this time too? Yeah, Chorfs. There a lot of red. A lot of red skill. Not in terms of numbers, but in terms of red skills, because strength skills are red. Only suffering 6 cas is the secret.
To be fair, you did inflict a ton on the. You kind of beat the shit out of the undead while getting the shit kicked out of you, or Necro.
That seems reasonable. We still have my favorite player in the Bull Centaur, who has got the most useless break tackle I have ever seen. We took Agi, and then we took break tackle afterwards for like the +1, and then he proceeded to roll Agi again. So now it is actually a completely wasted skill in every way imaginable. But it's an Agi 4 Sure Hands Bull Centaur, which is ridiculous. So, you know, like, you had 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But what a player. It's so funny. I love it. The other one having a useful break tackle, because he's only Agi 2, but he also has Strip Ball and Mighty Blow and Frenzy. Then Turtle still exists. He's a player. Grodd has recently leveled and taken Fend, which is not something I think I've seen on Chorfs before.
Fend Stand Firm is not what I would call synergy.
No, but I mean, when you have guards,
it gives you the opportunity, I suppose, to choose literally everything about being blocked. You're like, do I want to stand here? Yes, no. Do I want you to be able to follow me? Yes, no. But all things considered, I don't think Fend was the move.
I can see certainly like uses for it, like it'll stop frenzy things, and like you said, you can like choose stuff like that. But it is kind of, you know, if you choose not to stand firm because you don't want to be like stuck up against your opponent's claw piece or whatever, you can then stop them from following you. But like it's kind of a thing where like just better positioning solves that problem, right? If like you position yourself in a way that, yeah, he's going to take a block, but if he follows up, then I get to hit him next turn, is probably better than just taking Fend. It's interesting. I mean, I can think of use cases for it certainly, but it's like you said, it's sort of anti-synergistic, and I've never actually seen it before. So
nope, me neither. But yeah, other than that, they're Chorfs. They have Chorf skills.
Yeah, they take Claw if I can get it, and otherwise some combination of Guard, Mighty Blow, Stand Firm, and Grab. And they have all done that down the line. I don't think there's anything else new there besides that Fend. Hobgoblins, I don't think there's much new there either. I don't think so.
Nope, nothing too exciting. Which
Dwarfs.
leaves us with
What a ball carrier.
the
What a
Murderous
ball
Row,
centaur.
who just finished their game. Not looking too worse for wear, given that they got a little bit of a beating versus Superfed, though I know a lot of it was chaos.
One ghoul is out.
One ghoul is out. Is it just an MNG? It is. He's fine. He's
And
just
by one
blodged.
ghoul, I mean the ghoul.
Yes, because this is a blodge zombie. Blodge Agi 1.
I think this was the one of like I think there are 2 Necro teams in the 2 divs that we cover that have had Agi busted ghouls, and I think this is one of them, and because that's a new
He killed a guard white.
that's a new
apparently.
ghoul.
Yes, because
yes.
Slam 4 is new.
He is new. Werewolf, he's got the meme jump up piling on Mighty Blow. The other one has got the movement 9 Agi 4, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Support
really cool piece.
Guard and Mighty, like a kind of hybrid white. He's both Guard and Mighty Blow, but that's sort of fine. Necro are a hybrid team after all. Flesh Golem about to level up on a zombie recently. Dirty player, not surprising. I don't think there's too much else new and exciting to talk about. The Agi 1 Blodge Guard zombie is funny, but we've talked about him before. It's mostly just to keep that guard on his feet more than anything else.
Yep, it's a pretty good Necro team.
I love that
Handsome
wolf.
Tim
I love
is,
that wolf.
Fucking weird. But everything else about it is great. Yeah, Albert Squish's version 2.0 is really
Movement
good.
9 Agi 4 is incredible.
My clan Blodge Wolf just moved movement up. I rolled movement up, and I would kill for an Agi up on it as well.
Rats Against Teen Stars and Razzlestorm competing with Fall for the lowest TV in the div.
His Storm Vermin just keep dying.
Yep. Killery Bluff is this another new Storm Vermin? He's only played 1 match. I think he only could afford 1 before. But he had 2 like
his other one died. He definitely had 2 new ones and one of the new ones.
So he's lost 3 Storm Vermin this season? Is
3 Storm Vermin in like as many games, yeah.
Yeah, he had 2 like pretty developed good Storm Vermin, and now both of them are dead, and then another one of them died, so we're down to 2.
His thrower is dead.
Yep.
His gutter runner is
He's 2
not
movement busted
technically
gutter
dead,
runners.
but Jesus Christ, this team is so
Yeah,
done.
this team is worth starting over. Even if you wanted to keep playing Skaven, I think I would probably just start a new Skaven team.
Yeah, Jesus, no kidding.
It's got like some stuff, but nothing that's not that difficult to get. Like he's got, a Raj tackle, strip ball, gutter runner, but turns out it's pretty easy to score touchdowns on gutter runners. So getting 3 normal skills isn't like out of the realm of possibilities. Both of those Storm Vermin are rookies. The thrower is strength busted. 2 of the gutter runners are movement busted. There's no like crazy skills anywhere. Like you've got Caleb McFarlane is like relatively leveled. It's kind of annoying to get up to 76 SPP, but he's also movement busted. He's had a really rough couple games and is kind of in a bad spot now. But sometimes it happens, especially with low armor teams.
Yep. Moving on to Superfed's team, fresh off of a win. Looks like Clown has taken an MNG is already.
I don't understand. This team has suffered like 40 casualties in like the last 4 games it's been in, and yet it still is 2130 TV and has like a full team.
Well, he's missing a blitzer. Is that a new death? Is that blitzer that died this game? Considering you're at 0 gold, so I think you rebought some stuff.
My favorite is the Tame Bear that he bought specifically for 1 match, and it immediately got movement busted in that match. That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, it's playoffs or bust for Superfed, or he's re-rolling. What would you re-roll to? That's the real question. Underworld. What's the challenge?
Yeah, MILF Hunter is gone. Yeah. Captain Stabbin is still around, and we still have somehow Team Squirt is still alive at Armor 5.
This Snotling.
Yeah, Snotling armor, Strength 2, Armor 5. What do we have? Anything that looks leveled? I don't really. Dirty Player on Teens Love Huge Clocks, perhaps, is newish, but everything else is not necessarily recently leveled, or at least it's hard to tell. But he has a lot of like reasonable. He still has all the players that he's had before, which we've talked about. A lot of them are really good tools. There's a lot of like Leap Guard Stand Firm. A lot of the sort of tools for an Agi speed team to deal with the punchy teams that he's facing. However, they've taken a lot of injuries lately, so we've got a couple armor busts, 3 on that, or 2 on that one catcher. We got a movement bust, a couple of movement busts lying around. So like, there's been a ton of injuries, but he could be in a much worse spot than he is.
I'm sure that's a comforting thought to Superfed.
Yeah, well, like they're the type of injuries that cause you to lose games rather than like lose seasons or like lose the team, I think. But the problem is having a bunch of games like that in a row where you had a ton of injuries that cause you to lose games are making the playoff run a little bit harder than it would be otherwise. But like the team is still in reasonable shape if you wanted to keep it, but if he wants to reroll it, then he wants to reroll it.
Yep, and then we have the team at the top of the division, Atomex.
2390
chunkiest. Yeah, the chunkiest Nurgle team in REL.
I think it's the chunkiest team in REBBL right now.
Might be, yeah. No longer Superfed. It does have a 16, well, currently 15-man bench, but...
Who cares? You're 2400 TV, you're never getting inducements. You might as well have the bench.
Yeah, and you can always drop some of them if you need to.
And more
the Hiles are
fouling.
2200, I think.
And FD's team died a little bit, so they don't have the...
It died a lot of it. 2230 versus 2390. Not even close currently.
Yeah. FD went down to... He was at like 2500, and now he's at 2090. Yeah.
So let's see where that TV is. The Sage is a block Beast of Nurgle. It's a pretty big deal. He's
so
got
good.
Sandune, the Palm, the Claw Palm Tackle, Nurgle Warrior, Horny.
It's a Nurgle team with 3 strength ups. That's gross.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the TV's coming from. Well, especially he's got 2 Vampire Pestigores.
There are two Pestigores.
Primal Core strength up is new.
Yes, it is.
I've never, because he was always agi up, block, kick off return, and I was like, oh, that's a weird, like, it's weird to take kick off return on a Pestigore, and they're like, wait a minute, no, that's not a
He's got
And now
yeah.
he's got a vampire rotter.
He's an Agi 4, strength 4 rotter. But there are 2 Nurgle warriors in REL 1 and REL 2A that are Agi up, strength up, wrestle tackle. Like there are literally 2 of them.
Yeah.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
Yeah. Really good stuff. Ornan Water Closet is on his way to being a killer. The movement bust is a bit of a setback.
Problem.
Certainly, it means piling on is going to be worse.
And it's also normally on the kickoffs on offense, right? You line up the Nurgle warriors on the line to punch with a Claw Mighty Blow, and then you're probably going to blitz with the Pestigor. But now it's very easy for your opponents to set up relatively out of range of him if you want to, so it makes the blitz on offense a lot more difficult to pull off with the Pestigor.
Without leaving someone exposed, yeah, because he can only move. He can't even move really as far as the Rotters can. He can move basically as far as the Rotters can.
He doesn't need an assist because he's horns, but if the opponent sets up in the sort of rule of 5 position 4 squares back, sure, you can blitz one, but you're not getting away, and he's going to get punched next turn. You can't. Yeah. You have to expose him, which is kind of a problem. But so many stat ups.
Really good team, and it's doing incredibly well. Better than any of the Nurgle teams in REL 1 are doing. So.
Certainly, yeah. The Nurgle warriors are really good. He's got a couple really good Pestigors, like the ball carrier. He's got, he's missing, he's missing the sort of killer Pestigor that you see a lot. He's got one started, but the movement bust kind of sucks. But the number of stat ups and stuff he has means that he doesn't have to rely on killing stuff as much as your typical Nurgle team does, because we have all that strength and agi to do nonsensical things rather than just punch the other team to death.
Yeah. Then last but not least, we have Professor Chaos, who was middle of the table when I predicted he would come 4th, and has since then just man-moded his way up, like some kind of powering up character in Dragon Ball Z, just skyrocketing to the top. Yeah, just blowing past everybody else. It's beautiful.
He lost a Black Orc recently.
We'll look at the leaderboard in a minute, and Ben's going to put up his thing, and it's going to tell me that Professor Chaos has a 100% chance of being 4th, but we'll see.
He does not have a 100% chance of being 4th.
100-ish.
Well, 18.
It's 100-ish.
18.8, so 19. Yeah, we talked about this before. He lost a Black Orc, and it's going to be annoying trying to get him caught up to the other ones, because we'd always praised Professor Chaos about keeping his Black Orcs dead even on SPP, and then losing one is going to make that a bit of a problem.
Happens inevitably on Orcs, though. He's already scored a touchdown on him, so
on his way.
Only one more until he gets blocked, and then he's a lot less of a liability.
New Blitzer as well.
Is still a filthy piece. Yeah, sustained a bit of damage in the last couple of games. It looks like both are 1 match old.
Very, very stereotypical Orc team. Other than the stat ups, I guess, but it's block, guard, mighty blow, block, mighty blow, tackle, stand firm, guard. Very, very unsurprising picks. But it turns out things are meta because they tend to be good, and we've seen that both this season and last season with Professor Chaos's very solid sort of standard, no nonsense Orc play, doing him a lot of favors. So it's going well.
Yep, it's a really solid team.
So since I forgot to do it before, let's look at the results from last week. So there's very few things that we predicted because most of the games had been played already.
Gosh, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, we predicted exactly 3 matches. This is not one of them that we predicted, the Reality Kings and Greenskin Brawlers from last week. Greenskin Brawlers...
Saw this match when it rolled in. Yeah, Professor Chaos just beat the living hell out of Superfan. Another one of those games where
28 blocks.
He only made 28 blocks and got 10 removals.
Yeah, six casualties, 7 KOs. It's
Pitchblade. It's brutal.
That's the thing. Let me there you go. Right here. When not quite as good as it could have been, but I like to look at the dice log for bash teams, and when you see that they have single digit dice everywhere, you know that they've done a really good game because they haven't had to roll any dice. So we're barely into the double digits on a lot of these dice. So it could have been better for the Orcs, but really not a whole lot.
Yep. Yeah. The
lot of removals.
RK failing most of their armor rolls, failing most of their injury rolls.
And Superfed probably getting his patented 2 to 3 turn quick touchdown in at some point, and then the Orcs just beating him to death for the rest of the match.
Well, Superfed attempted 17 leaps, which is an indicator of how that match was going. He failed 32% of them. No, 42% of them.
If there are any leaps on the dice log for Superfed, you know that he was not in a good position. And 17 is more than one a turn, so not a good position. The Rowdy Rebel Rousers and Rats Against Teen Stars. Is this one we predicted? Nurgle versus... no, it is not. This had also already been played, but Atomex took this one down 1-0. 19 armor breaks off 24 blocks.
That's like a lot of fouling to me.
With 10 casualties sustained for the Rats. And 4 KOs.
We know why the team continues to be dead.
And we know why the game was 1-0, because there were no Rats, and then the Nurgle just sort of stood there and did nothing until they scored on turn 16. And
this
won.
was so we were talking about how it was a 25 SPP game for REL. This was a 10, 20, 30, 31 SPP game for fucking...
Yep, and they scored 1 touchdown. So that's the 10 Kaz for you. And 5 passes, like 10 Kaz, 5 vanity passes, MVP, and a touchdown. There you go. Like you cannot find a game. You cannot find a game more in control than one where Nurgle get to attempt 5 vanity passes. Like
6 vanity passes.
Well, okay, they made 5 vanity passes and they attempted 6.
Well,
there's not much else you can really say about that game. The Rats or the Nurgle just had that game from turn 1, and the Rats couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, though. Yeah. Anyway.
Strength 4 player is a god for the end of the game, making multiple 4 and 5+ dodges, but he's one of 3 players on the pitch. Yeah, well, that's a problem. Oathblow and Murderer's Row. This is one that we predicted.
What'd you predict?
Well, we both predicted the same thing.
God damn it! It was Murderer's Row, wasn't it?
It certainly was. So, you know.
Oh, whatever. That was the correct choice.
Murderer's Row, the fletch goal and picking up MVP is actually really nice, because now he's 1 away from getting block. Similar number
blocking 47 to 47, even removals.
Yeah. Well, 2 deaths versus no deaths, but similar number of casualties. If those regens came back, that could easily explain some things. Yep, successful regens. And turns out Norse don't have regen, except on the Yeti, I think.
Nope, Yeti does not have regen.
Oh, he doesn't? Oh, okay. So no.
I'm thinking of trolls.
Probably. So, you know, similar number of casualties, but the Necro one stood back up, which makes quite a bit of difference in this type of bashy game.
Yep. What about The Secret of My Success and Rouge's Gallery?
Nope, didn't predict that one either.
Hey, look, the Chorfs kicked the shit out of the Orcs.
Semi unsurprising.
Yeah.
In what continues to be a trend this week in REL 2, 2 deaths. A lot of dead people in REL 2, 5 casualties, 3 KOs.
Was that 2A or 2A?
Both. I am Canadian, after all. 23 armor breaks is a lot.
Yeah,
45 blocks. Yeah, the Chorf's just kind of like making the Orcs really
another
sad.
one of those like 63% failed armor roll.
Yeah.
As Orcs, like you weren't only getting hit with Claw Mighty Blow, so that's a bad feel.
I had my first 0% armor game the other day. In 1 minute with my Bretonians, I broke armor 0 times in the game we played. I had Mighty Blow against goblins.
Are you serious?
It was against Orcs, but it was against Orcs. It was in 1 minute, so it was Orcs with 4 goblins on the team, and I Mighty Blowed goblins several times, and I broke armor 0 times the whole game. I've never played a game where I've never broken armor, and I did it. 0.
I've definitely had 0 sustained armor breaks as lizards. Like, you just have it sometimes. Like, if skinks never get hit, and you're always in control, and they're always hitting AB9, and they're not even doing a lot of that, it's not that unlikely.
Yes.
Then we have... So we didn't predict A Secret of My Success in Rouge's Gallery. Did you predict Thick, Rich, and Creamy and Fallen?
We did, actually.
Did you both pick Thick, Rich, and Creamy?
No, we did not.
God damn it.
Which one of us predicted the right one?
You.
No, you did.
Oh, really?
Yep, I predicted the Amazons.
Oh,
well, I think at this point it was mostly because I wanted to pick differently than Tself. But I think that what describes this game is the 22 armor breaks, 5 casualties, and 7 KOs, and the fact that the Amazons no longer have a team.
Yeah, so Necro are way punchier than Amazons. Are better armored, faster, have regen, have tendency to get a fair amount of attack. Necro are really good against Amazons, and they have frenzy, so it's like pseudo tackle.
Yeah,
So-
it was mostly Tself predicted the Necro, and I wanted to try to make up some points, but it didn't work out. And we've seen Fallen Wonders pull off some weird wins, especially with the Agi 5 Amazon he has, but wasn't able to make that happen this game, and instead just lost most of his team, sadly. Troxbird's leveled up, which gave him that block on the Agi 1 zombie. But yeah, most of the Amazon team being removed lets the Necro kind of do whatever they want there, it turns out.
Weird, it doesn't show his armor bust or his Agi bust here. Maybe he got it in the last game? No, because he'd still be out.
Cogs of War versus the Cantankerous Creations. We did actually predict this one.
But it was a tie, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I predicted the Dwarves because I really, really wanted the Death Roller to win, and also because this was the game that the Lizards were playing with like 3 Saurus and no Kroxigor.
The Lizards sustained 75 blocks, but did not die somehow.
Yeah.
Taking only 8 removals.
75. That's so many.
The Lizards only got, or the Dwarves only got 12 breaks on 75 blocks.
There was a 6-man fireball in this game, and it only knocked down 1 player.
Yep.
Yep. There's also a chainsaw that worked exactly once, although I don't know how the chainsaw roll works.
Yeah, because it always shows up on both sides, and I never know what the deal with that is.
Yeah, well, because there's like, so I don't know how it works. There's because there's the 2+ chainsaw roll, and then there's like the armor that you have to roll on the chainsaw as well, and I don't know how they get listed in the dice log because the cyanide dice log is dumb.
I don't care.
But
So
it would have been the Lizards with the chainsaw, I believe, because they had no players.
They were definitely down TV.
So they were going to be able to take Slibbly and also like Merc Sauruses if they want to, but it looks like they went with Lizards or Wizard and Chainsaw, a Lizard Wizard, if you will.
I mean, they might have gone with Slibbly as well. Let's see.
That's true. There's a lot.
Yeah, they went with Slibbly.
Did they have Slibbly? Oh, they did. Yeah.
See them in the dice log.
Yep. A lot of inducements for the Lizards. I remember us having like a little discussion about what could happen there. But
Lizards didn't break is what happened there.
Turns out, I mean, with 75 blocks and the Lizards not breaking, that kind of explains the tie. But like, so like a little bit of luck, but also well done to Basunda for keeping that a 1-1 instead of just getting annihilated without having any Saurus to protect those skinks. And the skinks all survived against dwarves, which is with dwarves with a death roller too, which is certainly impressive.
Did we predict the last match, Bogmire Fenbeast versus Velvet?
Well, there's only 3 predictions.
So that means that we're point neutral. We both got 0 points this week.
Great. So my gamble did not pay off, and you're still ahead by 10.
I got -2 in Div 1, and you got 0. And I got 2 in Div 2, and you got 0.
Hey, well, I'll take 0. That's average.
You're as good as a coin flip.
So are you on average.
No, well, yeah, on average. Well, no, because I'm positive overall. But
So am I.
I'm more positive. You fucking asshole.
That's true. Fell with Coatadal and Fogmire Fenbeasts 2-1 to Fogmire Fenbeasts over those like ludicrous high elves, including one with a natural 1-turner. So that's certainly an accomplishment. But 62 blocks, killing a high elf, KOing 6 of them, and chasing 2 others.
The frenzy. Each frenzy hit counts as 2 blocks. So.
That's true, but only if the first one doesn't remove them.
Yes.
And several have
doesn't
removed
knock
them.
Down. Yeah.
1 interception sustained, so the Lizards intercepted an elf pass, which is impressive considering
6 has happened.
A Lizards and B safe throw normally on high elf throwers.
Is it?
High elf throwers have safe throw, so it must not have been from.
It must have been not from the safe throw player because yeah, they do.
But yeah,
safe throw makes it incredibly unlikely.
Yeah, Lizards taking that one down, surprisingly. I mean, a lot of blocks, a lot of removals, which is certainly how you beat elves of this caliber. But stopping them from scoring more than once is particularly impressive considering they have a natural one-turner. But they don't have much of a bench to protect him, so if you can get him exposed and then KO him, he's not that much of an option anymore.
That's probably what happened here. Or they just turned the elves over with their ridiculous Frenzy-saurusness.
Alrighty.
And the...
Div predictor time.
Alright, let's do it.
Oh, I should have looked at the leaderboard first, but we'll see that afterwards, I guess.
We'll see it right here.
The Rowdy Rebel Rouse. No, once again, nobody locked. Nobody has playoffs completely locked. The Rowdy Rebel Rousers almost have. They're like a 0.4% chance or something of not making it to postseason.
They haven't played this week yet, unlike Superfed and Rolling Red, but they're still in first. They're tied for first currently.
Yeah. So like we're in week 12 and we don't have a playoff spot locked in either div, which is kind of nice. Although we did see this last week that like the top 6 teams in REL 2A are incredibly close to each other, like in terms of playoff chances. Like last week there was like 4 teams that all had an 80%. But with the win for the Atomex, he moved up to 95. Fogmire Fenbeasts moved up with their to 86. We still have Thickrich and Creamy is over 50%. Greenskin Brawlers, Fallen Wonders, Reality Kings still have a reasonable shot. Murderers Row is kind of an outside chance at this point, but it's still a reasonable chance at roughly 10 and like 17 for the postseason. And yeah, keep in mind some of the matches have already been played here, so it's not perfect, but that's what you get when half your div plays games super early. So blame you guys, don't blame us. Yeah, it's entirely, and we can see that when we look at let me pull this down and go to the leaderboard. So let's see, Atomex hasn't played yet this week.
It's playing Rouge's Gallery,
so and Superfed has, right? But like they are apart by 2 points, right? 3.
So if Atomex wins this game, he is guaranteed to beat Superfed. If he beats Rouge's Gallery, he's guaranteed to beat Superfed. He's guaranteed to beat Jimmy Burrito, and at worst he can tie against Rolling Red, I think.
It's a big match for him.
If he goes to 8-2-2, the worst he can have is if he loses to Superfed and Rolling Red wins, he ties for. So this is a big game against Mr. J. It
really is. Like was said, it's a tight div. The top 7 spots are within 1 win of each other, basically. Some of those games have been played, obviously, and some haven't. But like, if Atomex wins this, he's got an amazing shot at playoffs, basically guaranteed, if not guaranteed. If he doesn't win this, there's a chance that he doesn't make it. You're in first place, and it's week 12. Like, that's showing you how tight this div is, and there's a lot of scenarios that can happen. So we'll have to take another look at this next week and see where we stand.
Atomex is Nurgle sitting at 11 touchdown differential, so if it comes to a tie, he's going to win most of the time.
My favorite part about this is that there is 633, 542, 614. Like, this is the Professor Chaos with 5 wins is ahead of 2 teams with 6 wins because of the number of ties that he's pulled off, which is not something you see all the time, but it's like shows you how close in points this div is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, totally.
So next week,
predictions. Yeah.
Greenskin Brawlers and Rats Against Teen Stars. Orcs.
Yep.
Like, the rats don't exist anymore. I mean, to be fair, they can get some inducements and stuff, but like, he's missing a gutter runner. Like, the gutter runners are armor busted.
Orcs are hard for rats, even in the best of days. Like, they get Claw Mighty Blow at some point, and then like that can do work, but they don't have that here. So this is going to be a tough.
There's strength and guard galore to just hide from the rats. Like, sure, there'll be a wizard, but that'll result in 1 touchdown or prevent 1 touchdown at best. I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, we have Glart that can do. Hey, we could talk about inducements forever, but and rat inducements are really good, but I feel like there's not much of a team to back them up.
Let's not talk this up too much.
Rouge's Gallery and the Rowdy Rebel Rousers. So this is the big one.
Yeah. So Chorfs are going to get nearly 300k versus Nurgle, and I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, that's.
They have only 1 bench, and they're against Atomex's Kill Squad.
Well, okay.
Which is pretty killy.
So there's an unlimited number of rotters to get in the way of those Chorf blockers, and which that plus regen means the Nurgle are basically never going to go down players. They do, quote, only have 3 claw against Chorfs, but that's good enough to get at least 1 or 2 removals in terms of, like, on average, in terms of removing Chorf blockers and that sort of thing, which makes a really big difference. They'll be able to tie them up. And the one, like, X factor I think we have is that stupid Agi 4 Bull Centaur. He very well may be difficult for the Nurgle to deal with if he can get the ball. But if you ever allow a hit on him, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and the Nurgle are aggressively outguarded, but I gotta go with the Nurgle on this.
Yeah, I mean, having played a fair number of Chorf versus Nurgle games as the Nurgle side, they're always scary, but most of the time you feel favored as the Nurgle. So as much as Rouge's Gallery winning would be cool to make this like a fun lots of playoff scenario type div, I feel like I am having to bet on a team, as is our game. I would like to pick the Nurgle. Fallen Wonders and Oathblow, this is basically, you know, it's 2 very low TV recovering teams, although the Norse have picked up quite a bit since the last time we looked at them. They've
the Norse have a ton of tackle.
So much tackle. 1, 2.
And Norse are traditionally pretty good against Amazons, though the Amazons are going to get like 300k. I think I'm going to call this for Oath.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is I think the Amazons are missing their Agi 5, which is the huge advantage there that they have, and the Norse are like pretty well equipped to deal with the Amazons. Yeah, let's you know what, no, Amazons, let's go. I need to get some points back, and I have fall predicted for the playoffs, so let's make a divisive one.
Divisive, but yes.
Whatever, I've been saying divisive for 12 episodes and you've never corrected it until now, so apparently it hasn't mattered. Cantankerous Creations and The Secret of My Success. So we've got Basunda's Lizards that are recovering, and Russellford's Sea Butter and his
He's
Orcs.
also recovering. This Div 2A has a lot of recovering teams this week.
Well, yeah.
Orcs are a struggle for Lizards normally. He is down 1 very important pillar. And a
Blitzer as well.
Very important Blitzer. He doesn't have a killer Blitzer to go after Skinks. He doesn't. His only Mighty Blow tackle piece is a Black Orc.
He's at 1710, and the Lizards are at what's a Skink?
60.
60. 1710 versus 1790, so he gets 80k, which isn't a terrible amount. He only has 20k, so you're probably not pulling anything from the bank, so that's just a Babe, really, which doesn't make a huge difference in this matchup.
What do you think? I think I know what I'm.
It's hard. There are 2 blockless Saurus, which is certainly annoying, but there are 3 guard ones, 2 armor 8. Croxagore is a thing. Super Skinks. God, this is hard. The Agi Orcs could do things, but I feel like they're going to be outstrengthed too much. So let's go with Lizards.
I pick Orcs.
Okay.
Russellford Sea Butter's got this. I believe it.
And then we have Cogs of War and Felwis Coatadal. So we've got the O-Reverts. Stupid dwarves with the stupid death roller versus the stupid high elves with the stupid stats.
The stupid high elves win.
Yes, it's pretty likely the dwarves are going to have a hard time dealing with them.
So much tackle.
Oh no, the elves have movement 10. Yeah. And like, well, actually, another thing that matters here is what they're not in Cogs of War Stadium, meaning it's not a free bribe. So the elves can just choose to go first and then 1 turn. And then
no, the elves are 200 TV above the dwarves. The dwarves can just get bribed.
If they spend their inducement money on a bribe specifically against the high elves, then the high elves probably win anyway.
That's fair.
The dwarves also have a bench, so like they're going to be able to field him or not field him, but like you get to play that stupid game that goblins often have to deal with. Like, do I like field my secret weapons and pray that I can stop him from scoring early? But if I don't field them, then he just stalls, so I don't have the secret weapon on for more turns. Like it's that kind of like standoff thing where it's really hard to decide if you field it or not, and it can depend very highly on like the coin flip. It's super annoying. It's like, well, if I field him, he just scores, and then I have to use my bribe. Or I don't field him, and then he just stalls forever because I'm a dwarf and he has movement 10. So yeah, and then he doesn't have the mighty blow to like force the elves to score by beating them to death. I feel like it's gonna be not for science. And with that, we are done.
Yay, sleep.
Yeah, I gotta go do that. Although, despite starting a bit later than normal, we still finished at roughly the same time, so that's not too bad. Thanks for sticking it out, despite us A, starting late, and 2, being a little faster than we normally would like to be. One more week to go. Next week is week 13, and then we will know who's in playoffs, and hopefully we can get a hold of some of the playoff matches from REL 1 and 2A to be the casters on, but if last season is anything to go by, they always end up scheduled at inconvenient times for me, and then other people take them. But I also am unable to make them because it turns out they always happen while I'm at work.
Yep, and it's worth noting the full season, first full season of REBBL Imperium launches on Friday, tomorrow.
Is that public knowledge? I didn't think that was public knowledge.
Well, now it is. To the 8 people watching this. I mean, it's been publicly announced in the beta channel. I don't think it's a secret.
Yeah, but it's not everybody's in the beta thing, and it's being announced to the league as a whole. Anyway, I don't think it matters too much.
I don't think it's.
But yeah, I'm super excited for that. I love Imperium. I'm very excited to get back into it.
Yep. So if you haven't checked it out yet,
look for an announcement tomorrow. An announcement of an announcement.
You build stupid teams. Pick the Chaos Player Pack team. They're just the best one.
Yep.
Don't pick elves. They seem like they'll be fun on paper, but then you play against teams that have elf positionals and bash potential, and then you die. Also, elves don't have like the reliability skills.
Or you could be me and pick the Chaos Gods collection.
Yes, because you're like, I got a sweet legendary, and it was Yaza Mucus, so I'm just gonna go with the worst team possible.
I did. It was fun though.
The stunty one. Yeah, no, whatever.
I went with that, and then I also played the Chaos Player Pact because some of the players transferred, right? Like you could also use like the Chaos Warriors and stuff there. So that's how I ended up doing it. But I'm really excited to get back into that, and I'm really excited for next week to see what like we end up with. Like we still don't have a playoff team locked in either div, and it's week 12. So
yeah, I think we've got like a bunch of very, very likely ones.
A lot of deciding matches coming up in the coming week, next week. So
yeah,
looking forward to those.
There's gonna be a lot of eyeballs on that Atomex and Mr. J game.
I feel like that's the one we're gonna watch next week.
Yeah, I mean, very likely.
We'll be back next week, and then we'll have our final predictions for week 13, and then I guess we'll have to do a post one to see what those predictions were and announce our scores and all that sort of thing. So two more weeks of SteakDora. If you liked us, we're sorry, and if you didn't like us, you're welcome. There's only 2 more weeks of us. We will end things there. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll be back next Thursday. Until then, I've been Steakmittens.
And I'm Shadorra.
See you later, folks.